Welcome to the Fast Leader Podcast, where we explore convenient yet effective shortcuts that will help you get ahead and move forward faster by becoming a better leader. And now, here's your host, customer and employee engagement expert and certified emotional intelligence practitioner, Jim Rimbach.
Need a powerful and entertaining way to ignite your next conference, retreat, or team building session? My keynotes don't include magic, but they do have the power to help your attendees take a leap forward by putting emotional intelligence into their employee engagement, and customer-centric leadership practices. So bring the infotainment creativity of the Fast Leader Show to your next event, and I'll help your attendees get over the hump now. Go to beyondmorale.com/speaking to learn more. Okay, Fast Leader Legion, this episode that I'm going to share with you today was an interview that was recorded on location at the Customer Experience Professionals Association's Member Inside Exchange. I had the opportunity to interview Curtis Kopf, who was one of the keynote speakers at the conference. Curtis was born and raised with his younger sister in Narragansett, Rhode Island, surrounded by the ocean, fishing boats, and clapboard houses. Curtis spent much of his teenage years working on his uncle's offshore lobster boat in southern Rhode Island. In the summers, they went more than 100 miles offshore on a 75-foot steel lobster boat for 3 to 4 days at a time. He learned early what it meant to do hard work, to depend on the people around you, and to build strong teams. Curtis has held a variety of leadership roles in his career, from serving as Amazon's first general manager in the UK to developing curriculum and teaching at the University of Washington's Mobile Business Strategy Certificate Program. He has an undergraduate degree in English from Brown University and a master's degree in writing from Johns Hopkins. Curtis is a visionary leader and digital innovator who has built industry-leading customer experiences at Alaska Airlines, Microsoft, and Amazon.com. As Vice President of Customer Innovation for Alaska Airlines, Curtis built award-winning mobile apps and customer feedback programs, as well as pioneered such innovations as online bag tags and the use of biometrics. Future Travel Experience named Curtis as one of the 25 global innovation leaders in the airline industry, and Alaska's mobile app was named by Fortune as the best business travel app in America in 2015. Curtis is currently the Senior Vice President of Customer Experience for Premera Blue Cross, where he is working to transform healthcare, and he serves as the Vice Chairman of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Puget Sound. Curtis is a transplanted East Coaster living in Seattle, Washington with his wife Abby and daughter Ellie. His son Sam is attending college at the Naval Academy, where he also plays lacrosse. So now, on to the interview with Curtis. Okay, Fast Leader Legion, today we have a special guest on the show from the Member Inside Exchange, which is the Customer Experience Professionals annual member meeting. I'm blessed to have on the show today Curtis Kopf, born and raised in Narragansett, Rhode Island with his younger sister in a lobster fishing family. Curtis is the Vice President of Customer Experience for Premera Blue Cross, which is located in Seattle, Washington. Curtis Kopf, are you ready to help us get over the hump?
I am ready to help you get over the hump.
All right. Now, I've given our listeners a little bit about you, but can you tell us what your current passion is so that we can get to know you even better?
Yeah, sure. My passion professionally is to make healthcare better for people, to literally make people's lives better by making healthcare better. My personal passion is my family. I have a son who's in college, a daughter who's in high school. I'm married. I have a few dogs. That comes before everything else.
You had mentioned something a moment ago off mic where you had said that your son is actually in the Naval Academy.
He is at the Naval Academy. He's in his first year at the Academy, and it is very challenging.
Now, I know that you spent summers on a lobster fishing boat, but I don't think it's anything like a battleship.
No, you don't have to wear a uniform on a lobster fishing boat. You don't have to march, shine your shoes, make your bed. So no, I think he's got it a little tougher.
Now, I think you also had mentioned something. You really, in many parts of your family, didn't come from a military family.
No.
So now, when you started talking about passion, there has to be a lot of passion inside of folks in order to take, let's just say, the military route.
Yeah.
So what do you think that you instilled at home that caused him to have that kind of passion?
Yeah, I think a desire to serve others, a desire to be part of a bigger mission, and wanting to be a leader, wanting to really have a purpose in life. I think is very, very important.
Now, you just shared also during your keynote that you've had the opportunity to work with some very large brands who are on the forefront of customer experience. And the one that you're in now is wanting to do that. There's many aspirations. But when you started talking about that care component, I started thinking about all those brands that you were with, how they've operationalized the caring for others.
Right.
Can you talk about those three things that you covered in the keynote, which were so important that you see these companies differentiate with amongst all others?
Yeah, absolutely. I think having worked at companies like Amazon.com, Alaska Airlines, really companies that do a great job with the customer, I think there's three things. One is the culture. I think the culture beats everything else. It's the single most important thing. Having a culture where every single employee is focused on the customer. Number two is embedding the voice of the customer in everything that the company does. And then thirdly is innovation. I mean, we're in a time when there's a lot of change. There are companies like Uber and Airbnb and others that are, turning entire industries upside down overnight. So it's really incumbent on all of us with more established companies to innovate, because the world is changing quickly.
Very, very true. You also had mentioned something, I think, which is happening from an innovative perspective, is this whole idea around inspiration. I think you mentioned it a couple times within your keynote. One of the things that we do on the Fast Leader show is we look at leadership quotes, or quotes, I should say in general, to help us with inspiration, because sometimes we just need to buckle down and we need that reminder. Is there a quote or two that stands out for you that you can share?
Yeah, I'll give a couple. I think one, what I was thinking when you said that is there's a TED Talk by a guy by the name of Simon Sinek called The Power of Why. And I think that really resonates with a lot of what we're talking about in terms of inspiring employees and companies. It's really important. People want to be part of a bigger mission. You have to start with the why. And I find Simon Sinek, he's very inspirational. Just in terms of basic leadership quotes, I'm a big Winston Churchill fan, and just the never, never, never give up is something that sticks in my mind all the time, just as a very iconic quote. There's another one by Margaret Mead, which is something to the effect of something to the effect of great things in the world are always accomplished by small groups of passionate people. I like that as well.
Well, you had talked about a couple things associated with, passion and persistence, even within your keynote. And sometimes we have to get over humps, and sometimes we have to be persistent in order to be able to get over those humps. Can you think of a time where you've had to get over the hump where we can learn?
Yeah, so I'll give you one, and we'll see if this fits the definition. So one, like a lot of people, I've done these assessments that people do in corporations where they assess your personality type, and they kind of indicate what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. And so when I think of a hump, that's a hump I need to get over. And specifically, like a lot of people, one of my strengths is that I'm type A. I have a point of view on what I want to do, and I just want to go do it. And a hump for me is when I encounter someone who has a differing point of view, and who maybe thinks focusing on the customer in certain cases isn't the right thing to do. And so one of the humps for me is when I encounter someone who actually has a differing opinion, rather than being dismissive or just trying to push them out of the way, being more curious, and rather than getting immediately jumping to wanting to be argumentative, to take a step back and really try to hear and listen and be curious. Maybe there's something to that person's point of view, because in large corporations, I think for all of us who are trying to drive change, it's about getting everyone else on board. And you absolutely are going to encounter people who have a different point of view. And you have to be curious, because sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes I'm wrong. So a hump for me is being more curious when someone doesn't have the same view as I do.
Can you think about a time where you've had the most challenging person where you've been able to connect with? What happened?
Yeah, I think, my belief on a lot of this stuff is that change has to come from us. And I think for me, the change has been being in that situation, and instead of feeling my blood pressure go up and kind of lean forward and start to argue, just to literally maybe slide the chair back and just say, before I get argumentative, I'm actually going to listen. I'm going to ask some more questions. I'm going to be curious, because actually maybe there's something here that I need to learn from. And so I've noticed a change just by doing that more. It helps me to be more effective, but that's a hump. It takes time to get over that.
So we had also talked off mic a little bit, is that sometimes those humps, they always present themselves. It's like they never, ever go away. They may get smaller with time, but it seems like we always have to address this hump sooner or later. And the one that you're talking about, I've even found that as one that I've had to kind of get over, to be able to do that better job of active listening, being more mindful, being curious, asking more questions. But if you were to say there was one piece of advice you'd give to somebody that was having struggles with opposing views or different views of somebody, what would you tell them?
I would give them the same advice I give myself, which is be curious. Be curious, and remember that if you want to have impact in a large organization, you have to bring other people with you. It's not, I think a lot of us grow up with the tendency to want to be right. Sometimes it's less important to be right, and it's more important to get everyone aligned and moving forward. And so that would be my advice. Be curious.
Now, I know you were working on doing transformation, let's just say, with a company who has been established for many years, and they're in an industry that's very tough. However, when you start thinking about one of the things that really excites you about the work you're doing today, what is it?
I think a couple of things. The mission is exciting because at a health plan, if we can do a better job, we can actually help people to be healthier. We could help a cancer patient recover, or help a diabetic person take better care of themselves. So I think that's the number one thing. I think the number two thing for me is it's about people and team. What gets me the most excited is when I'm when I'm part of a team of like-minded people who are passionate and excited about what they're doing, and they're having success. That's it. That sends me home with a smile on my face.
And the Fast Leader Legion wishes you the very best. Now, before we move on, let's get a quick word from our sponsor. The number one thing that contributes to customer loyalty is emotions. So move onward and upward faster by gaining significantly deeper insight and understanding of your customer journey and personas with emotional intelligence. With your empathy mapping workshop, you'll learn how to evoke and influence the right customer emotions that generate improved customer loyalty and reduce your cost to operate. Get over your emotional hump now by going to empathymapping.com to learn more. Okay, Curtis, now it's time for the Hump Day Hoedown. The Hump Day Hoedown is the part of our show where you give us good insights fast. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and your job is to give us robust yet rapid responses that are going to help us move onward and upward faster. Curtis Kopf, are you ready to hoe down?
I am. Yes, sir.
All right. So what do you think is holding you back from being an even better leader today?
Yeah, being a better listener. None of us do that on purpose, but sometimes our minds are so filled with what we want to say. Being a better listener, that's number one.
What is the best leadership advice you have ever received?
Man, that's a hard one. Probably something to the effect of, believe in yourself.
What is one of your best secrets that you believe contributes to your success?
All right, here's one. I'm a runner. I love to run, and there's a lot that I've learned from running that helps me in my life. Focus, discipline, persistence. Maybe the biggest one of all is preparation. It's all about, I had a big presentation last week, and in the end, my view is I'm walking into that presentation confident if I'm prepared, if I've done the preparation.
What would be one book that you'd recommend to our listeners? It could be from any genre.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, because we're talking about leadership, the first thing that came to mind is True North by Bill George. It's been around for a while. He just revised it. I think it's the greatest, maybe the greatest book on leadership I've ever read.
Okay, Fast Leader listeners, you can find links to that and other bonus information from today's show by going to fastleader.net/Curtis Kopf. Now, just be aware that you spell Kopf, K-O-P-F. Okay, Curtis, this is my last Hump Day Hoedown question. Imagine you were given the opportunity to go back to the age of 25, and you've been given the opportunity to take the knowledge and skills that you have now back with you, but you can't take everything. You can only choose one. So what skill or piece of knowledge would you take back with you, and why?
Worry less. I think you think back on all the things you lie awake at night worrying about, 98% of them don't happen. Worry less. Be in the moment. Spend less time worrying.
Curtis, it was an honor to spend time with you today. Can you please share with the Fast Leader listeners how they can connect with you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. CKopf1, I think, is my handle. You can look me up on LinkedIn as well.
Perfect. Curtis Kopf, thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. The Fast Leader Legion honors you and thanks you for helping us get over the hump. Thank you for joining me on the Fast Leader Show today. For recaps, links from every show, special offers, and access to download and subscribe, if you haven't already, head on over to fastleader.net so we can help you move onward and upward faster.